For the motifs, we're going to need our colorful threads, all of them. We're gonna start with the darkest color, chain 4, to create our little ring. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Slip stitch in the 4th, chain from hook, chain 1, and work 8 single crochets into this ring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Slip stitch in the first single crochet of this ring. It is so dark, this thread is so dark, I bet you can barely see. Okay, slip stitch, chain 1, and pull your thread through, and then weave in this little end, and then we're gonna start with the next round with a different color. So with a lighter blue, in my case is Blueberry from Artist, I'm gonna start my new round. This round is the round of popcorns. I already marked the stitch I'm gonna start in. It doesn't really matter in which stitch you start, since this is a new color. And join in my new color, and I'm gonna go ahead and start my popcorns. So chain 3 as the first double crochet. In the same stitch, work another 4 double crochets, and weave in this end at the same time, like crochet over it. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So I needed 4 more because I had my first here. So I have 5 double crochets. Now I'm gonna work my popcorn stitch and chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and repeat this popcorn and chain 3 for each stitch around. So you have to end with 8 popcorns around with chain 3 spaces in between them. So I'm at the end of my round. I'll slip stitch in the first popcorn, chain 1, and pull through. Weave in that end on the back of your stitches here. With my next lighter blue, which is cornflower, I'm gonna start in any space before a popcorn with a chain 1 and a single crochet to catch that tail. Now work a single crochet into the next space after the popcorn, catching the tail as well. Now, I know I could crochet over this tail, but I want to weave it in and have it more securely hidden. So I'm gonna go in the stitches of the previous round, and I'm gonna weave this new color in there like that, and then I can crochet over it, and then I'm sure to have it hidden really well, and it will never come out. So if you want to do the same, please do that. Yes, like this, and the last time I think that's enough. Then I go back into my stitches, to my working stitches, and I'll continue. So after pay attention, in each space you have to have 1 single crochet, chain 3, 3 double crochet cluster. It's very much like our basic stitch pattern. It's just this one is worked in the round in a motif. But if you'll pay attention, this stitch pattern is the same as for the dress, for the few 4 rounds. Now we need to work a picot on top of this cluster, so chain 3, slip stitch in the front 4 bars of this cluster, and the picot stays on top of the cluster, and then chain 3, single crochet into this same space. And this thing you repeat for each space around. So again, next space, single crochet, and then chain 3, 3 double crochet cluster, picot out of chain 3, slip stitch into the front bars of the cluster, chain 3, and single crochet into this same space. If you're watching these videos from your phone, you can zoom in on your screen and you can see it like in a close-up. I don't know about the computer, but on the phone you can do that. So continue like this for each space around. So I'm at the end of my round, and here there's no point in ending it with a double crochet, so we're just going to chain 3 and slip stitch in the first single crochet of this row. Remember, we started it with a single crochet in this space, so that was our first. Now chain 1 and cut your thread long enough for you to weave it in. If you're curious to see how I weave in my ends, so for this round especially, I'll go first inside the stitches of the petals for the first petal, for example, and then I'll go and I'll hide it better in the stitches of the second row because it's more compact there. The petals are more loose. So as long as I can hide it very, very well behind any stitches, on the wrong side of course, then that works for me. And this way you're sure for these ends to never come out, even if you wash your piece over and over again. So that's how I weave in the ends for this motif. And another tip, like you work these motifs, so depending on the number you need to make, once I show you one row, just work all the other ones at the same time and then start with a new row. This way, by the end of when I'm done with these motifs, you'll have all of your motifs done as well. So I keep weaving in and hiding this until I run out of the tail. Sometimes it's harder, sometimes it's easier. And just keep hiding it until you cannot see it anymore. If you want to be very picky about it like I am, see, nothing. And that's what you want to have on the back of your motif, for nothing to be seen. Now next color, my next color is this ice blue. Like I said, you're not going to use a whole skein. So if you have leftovers of your chosen colors, that's great. Now we need to start a new row, so this is how I start my new rounds. I'm gonna go in any petal and I'm gonna start with the space that's after the cluster or at the left of the cluster, something like that. Start with a chain 1 and then a single crochet into this very space. All right, and then weave in this end while you work your chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. You have a little piece there, but that's fine. That's okay. Now single crochet into the next space before your picot. Chain 1. This is behind the picot, like that. Single crochet into the next space. See? Chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Single crochet into the next space before the picot. Chain 1 goes behind the picot, and then single crochet into the next space after the picot. So that's what you have to do for this row, and do not cut your thread. So I got at the end of my round, I have my chain 1 here. I'm gonna go behind this picot and I'm gonna slip stitch into this first single crochet of our row. Round, slip stitch into your first space, chain 1, and work your 7 single crochets, but work them like this. So 2 single crochets first, and then work a picot out of chain 3, slip stitch into the third chain from hook, work another 3 single crochets into this space, another picot out of chain 3, slip stitch into the third chain from hook, and 2 more single crochets into this space. 1, 2. See, it's basically like our stitch pattern. It's worked in the round for a motif. All right, chain 2, and continue covering the spaces the way I showed you here. So 2 single crochets, and then picot, and then 3 single crochets into this same space, picot, and 2 more single crochets into this space, and then chain 2, and start all over for each space around. So end your row with chain 2 and slip stitch into this first single crochet, chain 1, cut the thread a little bit, not too long I meant, and weave it in the back of these stitches. So we've reached our lightest color, and now we're ready to go back to our darkest shades, which is, next shade is going to be this one. For me, it's cornflower. For my next row, I'm going to start in the middle single crochet between 2 picots. Not between the picots that are on each side of the chain 2 space, but on the 2 picots that are on each side of the single crochets. So in the middle stitch, I'm gonna join in the new thread, the new color, chain 1, single crochet into this same stitch, catching the tail. Now that tail you can hide in later in the back of your work. But you can, but no, I do not suggest that. I do not suggest weaving in now. It will be better weaved in the back of these stitches. So after the single crochet, chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Double crochet into the next space. Chain 5. Single crochet into the middle single crochet between the 2 picots. And again, repeat this section till the end of the row. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, chain 5, and then double crochet into the next space, chain 5 again, single crochet into the middle single crochet between the 2 picots of the previous row. For the last chain 5 space, I'm gonna work chain 2 and double crochet into the first single crochet. When you end up your spaces like that, obviously you do not cut the thread, you continue working with this color, chain 1. So for the next round, single crochet into this space and then 2 more single crochet into this same space. Chain 1, 5 single crochets into the next space, and that's my 5th single crochet here. Chain 1, and again 5 single crochets into the next space, and chain 1, and so on and so forth for each space. 3, 4, 5. In other words, each space has to be covered with 5 single crochets followed by a chain 1. I'm at the end, almost at the end of this round, and I'm gonna end it with 2 single crochets into our first space. We're right back where we started, and slip stitch into the first single crochet. Now, next row, chain 1, single crochet into this same stitch where you just slipped, and then chain 3, popcorn stitch into your chain space, into this chain 1 space, popcorn out of 5 double crochets, chain 3, single crochet into the middle single crochet of this space. So you can count 2 single crochets from this side, and in the third one, that's the stitch you need. So repeat this step from here to here, around, again, chain 3, popcorn into the next space, in this case it's a chain 1 space. I just don't see the necessity of mentioning that this is a chain 1 space because there are no other spaces here of a different kind. They are all chain 1 spaces, so that's the only reason why I do not see the necessity of naming those spaces. So count 1, 2 in the third chain, or in the, I'm sorry, in the third single crochet, or in the middle stitch of the 5. That's where you work your single crochet. So I'm at the end of this round. That was a chain 3 and slip stitch into your first single crochet. Chain 1, and now you may cut the thread.